I'm sure people will pour in if they want, and we have people virtual. But I do want to start out to introduce myself. I'll get more into myself as we get into the presentation, because there's definitely a method to the madness. But my name is Demario Richardson. I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri. I have my little sister here, Courtney, who will be assisting me. We just had a birthday together Monday. So this is also like a birthday gift, being able to come and being able to speak. Especially, thank you, appreciate it. Yes, a blessing to be honest. They call us German twins because I'm in '82, she's '84. I was born in 104. I think she was born in 404. So it's like literally 2 years and a couple of errands on the back. It was wow. Okay. My second birthday. My mom decided to eat chocolate. And so so yeah, I want to get into storytelling real quick, but I do want to say that I'm a very hands-on person, so I'm very open to feedback, conversation, things of that nature. I want to be able to share my story with you guys as well, why I'm here, and what led me here, and I'll get into that so I don't give too much away. But before I'll just get into some of the agenda items and things of the key takeaways that we'll be talking about. So storytelling is anybody in here, I'm sure, is creative, are familiar with what storytelling is. So by definition, storytelling is the art of transforming experiences into meaning, using our words and emotions in truth, being able to connect and inspire to other people, and helping other people to move to tell their stories. Me personally, I feel like we've got to a place where specifically black and brown people's stories are becoming sensationalized. So the things that we experience and the things that we go through has been more put into me, in my opinion, like these KPIs and these grants and these statistics and things. But when we go into our communities, we're like, where are we seeing the change? Of course, amongst each other, but a lot of times when I walk into a lot of these places that's promoting or sponsoring. It could be HIV, diabetes, sickle cell. The black and brown community is always at the forefront of it, but it's either the same people there or the community that needs to hear it is not being reached. So programs like the Project, which is a national program that I consult with, they the ones assisted me in my advocacy level, and helped me put a lot of things in perspectives when it comes to education. NMAC, I'm sure you guys are familiar with them. They had a table out there. They took me through a couple courses to also assist me in my journey with storytelling. So let me get to the next one. So, key takeaways. What do you expect to take away today? Most importantly, your authenticity, and being able to tell your story without feeling like you're being emotionally pimped per se, and just being able to understand that your story is your strength. A lot of us tell our stories, and then it's just we be putting our business out there, and there's just like no impact behind it. Not to say that there's no right or wrong to it, but when it comes to diagnoses, when it comes to our living situations or what they call social determinants of health, that matters because they're using our stories. Excuse me, storytelling builds connections. So, how many of us remember? I mean, I don't want to give up my age, but I know back in the day we used to sit down with my great grandmother and grandmother. They used to tell us stories from our ancestors. You know, the generational stories that kind of roots of who we are and how we are these days. Um, that meant something in our culture, and that's why I feel in so many ways that it's being sensationalized. It's really being taken from what it really was meant for, at least how I grew up. Emotion drives impact. So when you're able to tell your story with some authenticity and be able to be vulnerable, people are more apt to want to hear it and be able to relate and open up. And then, of course, transforming pain into purpose. So I'm hoping you guys be able to walk away knowing how to tell your story or say things that you want to say with some dignity. And last, craft your call to action, which is why I'm here today. For this for me is a call to action because there's so many other things that I could be doing, and I know this type of work puts the message out there and educates other people. So these are some of the key takeaways that I expect us to go through. All right, so this is the garden rules. I'm sure you guys understand, or y'all heard of the parking lot. So I made my own garden rules because I feel like anything that we all share can grow. We can grow from. So some of the things that we'll be talking, because they're very delicate situations, especially if you see me tell my story and I might twitch, cry, or frown up. It's okay. It's just me processing and it's me getting through it. It's a form of therapy. But we do want to note the fact that we want to give credit where it's due. So when we do our interactive sessions and you're pairing up with somebody and someone's telling their story, you want to acknowledge their story. You don't want to dismiss them. You want to be emotionally aware of what's going on because someone may be scared to tell their story or they may not want to share certain parts of their story. So you have to be very cognitive of knowing, being emotionally intelligent. Respect others' experience, lead with love, and heal. So this session is also for me a healing session. So as we get into it, you'll see some of the slides that say 1, 2, 3 heal. That's just affirmations that I do. I love, speaking affirmation and things and positivity. And some other ones around maintain professional integrity. That goes into if you're writing story as far as grants and going to other people's sector. Protect your peace at all costs. It's your story, so you're not obligated to tell or whatever parts you want to hold out. And respect privacy and avoid harmful disclosures. So you know that your story is something that's traumatic for you and you're still working through it. Don't feel bad by not telling it, and you can tell the next person it. Three-year-old granddaughter can't visit the East Wilson neighborhood where she lived when she disappeared. I know that something good's gonna come out of it. So we have to just keep our faith and keep pushing it. Just keep letting whatever we know, know that, we're still out there fighting. We're still trying to find it. My heart is just hurting. And I think about it all day, every day. And a day like this is the day I will be. Richardson says her mother was supposed to babysit her daughter on November 4th of 2006. And when she got to her mother's apartment, she wasn't there. Oh, it's something not right. This ain't like my mom. 2 days later, Tina Hicks, who also went by the name Selwyn Richardson, was reported missing. We can't tell her there's something. She's okay. She's here. And then we came to a week. In 2 weeks, and our birthday came. In a month, we were like, wow. I mean, like, what's really going on? She left behind 3 children and 4 grandchildren that she cherished. After 3 years without any contact from their mother, Courtney and Demario Richardson fear the worst. She was like the best friend that nobody ever knew. Regardless of the life she lived or where she was at or what she did, she called her kids. They pray someone will come forward with the information police need to finally find Tina and hold someone accountable for what happened to her. I don't know, a matter of time before that shines there and this is any old information. When 3 o'clock comes, I'm awake. These cinnamon rolls are called sweet Tina rolls. I named them that. And as I make them, I kind of feel, a relief just knowing that I'm still doing something to try to find her. She's been missing since November the 5th, '06. We know she's deceased. She would never stay away from us this long without letting us know. She would never stay a week from us without letting the family know. So it's just a matter of time. Yes, I do have great hopes that we will find her body. I sell a lot of pies. I use that to help raise the reward because we were informed by our attorney if we tried to get a reward going, somebody might balk. I have some cinnamon rolls and sweet potato pies. Do you like some today? How much of it?
The cinnamon rolls are always $5 and the pies are 8.
Okay, she's wanted both the cinnamon rolls and the pies. What kind of pies you have?
Sweet potato.
Okay. Sweet potato pies, what?
8.
8. Okay. Give me a cinnamon roll and a apple pie. Me no sweet potato.
Sweet potato pie. Thank you.
Okay.
At my age, I really would no one want to hire me. So this is something that I cooked for so many years. And I love to cook. So it just falls in place. And it's something that, that I just feel like I have to do now. Hi, guys. I have some cinnamon rolls and sweet potato pies, and the purpose.
There you go.
Just open the door and pick you one.
Yes, everyone does, baby.
We haven't heard a word.
We only do. Don't
We're
get.
gonna hang in.
I'm not going.
It helps because, there are a lot of people that they care. And they can see the hurt a lot of times. And it helps me. Just a kind word. Hi there. I am selling sweet potato pies and cinnamon rolls today for a purpose. My daughter been missing. And this is to help raise a reward. If we can't find her body, we know who did it.
Sorry about that. We'll be praying for you.
Thank you.
Go your way.
Thank you very much. It made me smile because some days I have to fight the tears back. But then everybody, if they have the money, it's a very few people say no.
That's deep, huh?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I had some tears. Unfortunately, my grandmother in her 80s, was not able to find my mother before she passed. It's been 10 years. So I had to, share this with you guys because I wanted to give some respect for her. But now I can officially, introduce myself. Like I said, I'm Demario Richardson. I'm a certified community health worker, peer educator. I also, am a published author. I wrote the book of storytelling because of the history with my mom. And I was diagnosed with HIV, November of 2006. When I was diagnosed, it was really bad for me because in '06, they couldn't tell you your diagnosis in hospitals. I had no clue what HIV was, education, knew anything about really using protection and things of that nature. We grew up very close and a good life, but I think that just wasn't a forefront of our conversation at our home. So leading forward, when I found that I was positive, of course, I went to maybe 18 hospitals, sat on grounds, people walked over me. I was misdiagnosed, sent home so many times. To when I finally did get in care, I was already diagnosed with AIDS. So at that moment, I'm like, look, it's whatever. My life is over. My biggest fear was having kids, so it broke me down, and it just did something to me. Excuse me. So I had to make a decision what I wanted to do, but my decision was to run. So I left. I moved to Texas. I tried to live a life in Texas, and I'm an openly bisexual male. So anybody know, like, in the gay community, if anything goes down like that, you going to Atlanta or Dallas, you can at least live your life. Because the rates there, now that I know statistics, the statistics, that the rates are higher. So unconsciously and immaturely, I moved to Dallas thinking that I was getting away from something. So I moved down there and I think I was taking 8 medications then, but I wasn't taking it. I made every appointment. I knew my case manager's word. I did everything. I just wouldn't take the medication. So they're asking me like, "Hey, are you taking your medication, Mario?" And I'm like, "Yes." Until I found out genotypes, and they finally sat down to me and let me know, "Look, you're not taking your medication. You are resistant to this many medications." At the time, they didn't have as many medications out as they did now. So they were like, you have to make a choice. So still then, I'm like, okay, whatever. Walked away, taking my medicine. So fast forward 2015, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. It was in my intestines and it was associated with the resistance from the medication. However, I had 6 surgeries, I had 2 colostomy reversals, I had 4 weeks of chemo, and 42 weeks, excuse me, 4 weeks of chemo and 42 weeks of radiation. And I say that to say if I was even educated in the cancer sector, I don't think I would have went through all that because I kind of understand some of the things that was going on. However, back then, it was the hospitals that was giving me opioids, drug. And when you're sick, you like sometimes not in the right mind. And I'll admit I wasn't the nicest person because I had to be waited on, like taken care of, be bathed, to be checked on. And as a young man, it's like, no, I'm not even barely in my 30s. Like, what are you doing? So I was mean, but they were persistent. But my sister had came behind my back one day and let them know, stop everything. Because I wasn't getting up, I wasn't moving, my bowels wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. I was barely really on the borderline of just going down the other side. And there'd be times that I would leave the hospital, take my IV out, drive my car, leave, go get drunk high, come back to the hospital, put my IV back in like nothing ever happened, like I was in a hotel. But even with my colostomy bags, I will come in with half of my colostomy hanging out, and they're like, "What is going on, Demario?" And if you drink, you get dehydrated. So your colostomy exposes, because if the bag was take care of it, it exposes. So there's a few times I had to go through that. But when my sister told them to take me off the medications and they had to come in there, like come in and you had to start walking around. I think after the first day I started walking around and things started feeling better and I started getting a bowel movement and things of that nature. That's when I kind of made the decision that I wanted to live. I didn't tell my sister them that, but I had to come up with a plan on what I wanted to do. So when I got out, I came to my sister's home, and then this was 2017 at the time because this is the end of my cancer treatment, and so I ended up moving to Kansas City, where my dad is originally from, where we're all at now. And when I got there, my brother was like, "You need to sit here, get your stuff together. This is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna get you back where you need to go." Go to a AIDS Service Foundation to get enrolled. Here come a peer educator. Here I go mean again. I don't want to hear about no peer educator. I don't want to hear about HIV. I don't want nobody in my face. I just come to get my medicine. But I'm also mad because I got cancer and things of this nature. So this peer educator, and I don't know if anybody knows Miss Latricia Miles. She's one of the co-executives for the Positive Women Networks, co-owners for the Positive Women Network. But she sat down, she listened to me with another guy named Michael Reese, and they literally allowed me to vent. And when I got done, they created a position around my trauma, which was a loss retention coordinator or a peer educator. And for 4 years, I was able to go into the communities for those fighting substance use, those that's houseless, those that don't have nowhere to go, no family, and get them back into the program because they were mean. They wasn't taking their medicine. They were falling off the line. They were trying to find them. And luckily, I was very uh, successful in what I did because I was very discreet. So I wasn't wearing an HIV peer educator on my head. I was going out there like any other person, sitting in the woods with these homeless people, going to dollar stores, creating incentive programs, dental programs, so they can get things that alleviate some of the things that they were going through. So my story led me to that, and even with KC Care, where I was working at, I loved the job so much. But it came to a time where it was time for me to grow, and when the government did the changes, it just seemed like they just let me go. They let me off, and I didn't think that it was mentally going to impact me the way it did, but it did because it became my home. When I came to this center and they hired me, I was there for almost 8 years. So that was my university. I found out what HIV was. I learned about what it was, how it transmit, how the stages of what it goes through when it enters you. HIV decriminalization, because a lot of people think just because you don't have HIV that you're not susceptible to it. So it's just a lot of those things that I learned and created. So when I left them, it did something to me and it pained me. And so I went to a therapist, and that therapist saved my life. And that's how I wrote the book, The Power of Storytelling. And in 30 days, I wrote a letter to my child, my 7-year-old self, a letter to my mom, I wrote a letter to my family. And that's how I was able to get everything out. And so in my book, you'll be able to see like this, because it's more focused on like the statistics and things, how it helps people more so of what's needed. Because I honestly feel the reason why I don't want to help, I don't want to really sometimes integrate myself sometimes because I feel like it's just a number, and this is my life. Like, I went through a lot, so I just feel like I don't want to just be helping to be helping if it's not going to be impacting. So, all like you say, all that you see here now, I'm co-chair of our Missouri HIV Justice Coalition, where we were able to change our HIV laws about 4 years ago. Sit as a board secretary and start at zero, and these are for children from 0 to 5. Because as you know, when kids are born, especially in the Black and Brown community, they don't have no programs like they do these other programs to steer them into where they need to get to when school start. So then they get to these schools with ADHD and all these other diagnoses, and then we wonder why our kids can't focus when you got early childhood that should have been there from day one. So I sit on that board so I can make sure that when I know Black women that are expecting that they can get all those resources so they can give their child the opportunity to get the education that they need from birth. All right. So now that I said that, and I got a couple tears out, we're gonna do an exercise. But I wanted to wrap it around vulnerability and boundaries to let you know again, if it's something that's vulnerable you don't want to speak about, protect your peace. But make sure you have balance of being open and protecting, especially of yourself. And if you guys could give me some examples of healthy boundaries and storytelling, and how can we recognize our limits while we still connect authentically? Yeah, help. And if anybody's virtual, want to put it in the chat box, you can do that as well. So, can you share any healthy examples of boundaries like for storytelling? Like if you were to tell your story, what would be a healthy boundary for you?
Um, so I'm a clergy person, and I'm very careful of sharing my story in places where there's been a lot of trauma around sexual abuse, because I don't want to open a person up and not be able to help them get back home.
That's important, yes. And that's why wordplay is important too. Because when I talk to the clients that I talk with that were on the streets, I use myself as an example, but I always try to use open-ended questions, or I have them drive the conversation versus me. And most and foremost, I acknowledge their feelings, like something I might been through and surpassed might be something I don't want to deal with no more, but if somebody else is going through it, doesn't mean that you have to be dismissive. Anybody else?
Yes, I was a teen mom, and so when I encounter young ladies that are pregnant, that was in my situation, I don't tell them how I got pregnant, what I did, and all that. I take the negative because I was ostracized, because there was a path for me set up, and how could you do this, and the whole nine. So what I tell young ladies is, you're pregnant. I didn't drop out of school. Don't drop out of school, because now it's not about you. Now more than ever, you have to go forth and get your education. And no matter what somebody tells you, you're going to be all right. You got some work to do now. It's not going to be an easy street. And so what I try to do is take the negative out of that. Now, ain't nobody happy that you're pregnant, you're 15, you're 16. Nobody's happy about that. Let's not make a mistake about that. But this is not the end. Because now you gotta think about this child that you're carrying. You ain't even gotta think about the boy you got pregnant by, none of that. Because they get to walk away, you don't. Because we don't give away our baby. So, that's just true. We struggle through. And so that is my boundary to protect them. Because I didn't have, um, a lot of protection. And I didn't even want to be a mother because my parents separated at a young age and I had to raise my brothers. And so the last thing I wanted to be was pregnant. But because I had an absent father, this man came along that just took care of me and one thing led to another. I don't tell them that. I can say that in this space.
Right.
But what I'm saying is we have to protect people and not judge. So when I see a young lady that's pregnant, I'll say to her, I was you. I got through it, and this is where I am now. It was a struggle, but you can do it. So that was my balance. You don't ostracize, don't judge, you know, because of what happened to me, I can have that mindset not to let it happen to another young lady.
And that's good, that's important, because I believe, even when I started, I feel like I came to the game late. Because I was diagnosed in '06, but I didn't start getting into advocacy and taking care of myself to 15. So I kind of got some passion and some hurt in me because I'm like, what happened? What stopped me from knowing what was going on? But even in that, like you said, there's healing in everything. And so instead of me getting mad, I'm like, writing a book was the best thing, or coming to conferences or meeting other people that's like me, because I didn't even know there was an HIV community.
Right.
Had no clue. And ever since I've been out here, it's like that's the only people that I would want to hang around, not to ostracize other people. But it also in that showed me that a lot of that gatekeeping is within the HIV community too.
Yeah,
but don't nobody want to
absolutely.
talk about that.
Right.
So that's just a different story. Anybody else want to share? That was it.
Actually, it's a kind of a comment in the question about the boundaries, because I don't know. In my life I've had trauma, and I think for a long time I hid it. Like, no, you know, particularly with my parents, were like, no, you don't want to talk. No, we don't need to discuss it. Not even tell people. Just we don't want to discuss that. But like, let's not bring it up. So I don't think I got to a point. There was like a tipping point in my life where I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna hide anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now, as a friend of mine once told me, like, I give the worst pep talks because I'll tell them, look, I lived through this. You could do it. You know, all you trying to do is learn how to drive a car. You know what I mean? So, so I wonder sometimes. So now, when I saw that the thing about healthy boundaries, my question to you is, how do you reflect on yourself? Like, how do you say to yourself, like, you need to be careful not to trigger somebody, and understand that the trauma that you lived through, maybe that person's not ready to hear that as well, you know.
Well, I'll piece mine up because I'm really, really, really private. Like I don't really like telling my business, but I've learned how to do it because I also have a marketing background degree, so I know how to kind of like compartmentalize things. But when I go in communities and I see people hurt, I use myself as a vessel and I use me as and I have to find a way to self-care because after so long I was being burned out. I was feeling like I'm tired, even if I don't want to use the word HIV anymore. I'm just tired. But all that just came from me not creating those healthy boundaries. So now when I talk to people about it, given the capacity, I want to understand where it's coming from, why, and how deep we going. Because it's different from me telling you I was diagnosed and I lived through it, but it's another one I have to go deep in my story, you know? And even with our upbringing, a lot of it was rooted from, like you said, teen child. My mom had to go through that as a child. She had her first child at 16, 17, but my mom was hurt and stuff, what you call it, broken because her and my dad divorced. So she ended up substance use, he ended up alcoholism. So in her substance use journey, we had a life that we had to survive and live through. And this is why I say I had no clue about HIV, STIs, protection. That wasn't a conversation. Our conversation in our home was how are we going to eat.
Yeah.
She had to do the doctor's appointments at 6 and 7 years, 8 years old. We had to make sure that we stayed with each other. My brother go to school, transition, do everything that we were supposed to do. But I'm just very careful who I share my story with. You know, because now I know how to say the educational part of HIV without seeing my own story versus in the beginning, I'm like, oh, I had HIV, let me tell you what went on.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I don't have to do that because then I come in out in the end way more hurt and way more alone, per se. So that was a great question though. So here we go with our first breakout session so we can get to know each other. So I told you I said I'm person hands on, so we're gonna do 1, 2, 3 heal. But it's really more of an icebreaker. What we're gonna do is spend 10 minutes. We're gonna use music as an interval, but we're gonna share with each other, or you can find somebody to pair up with and let them know your name, your birthplace, and one positive word of affirmation that represents you and why. So for instance, my name is Mario. And one positive affirmation for me is that I'm optimistic. All right. So if we want to break up, or we don't even have to break up, or get with someone to ask that question real quick, just to get to know each other, and then we can move into the next segment of the interaction. Unless y'all know each other already. Anybody in virtual, you guys can use the virtual chat box.
That's what I think of one of the things.
It's us.
From downstairs. I was How long have you had a legal suit? I was just. What do I do? My job is but my tendency is now in my job. I wrote it. No, I mean, it could, but. But yeah, I'm sure. There's a lot of, there's a lot of. Privacy. The relationship.
But that's okay.
All right, I guess we can move on into that. That was the good part. So, usually I thought we were gonna have a little bit more, was gonna break up, but we don't have to, we can just pass the card out to each person. So the next, hold on one second. Before we get into that, this is a insert from one of my books. So I mean, from my book, I just wanted to give you guys some breakdown of percentages. According to the American Psychological Association, families that regularly share their personal stories are 35% more to experience high levels of emotional well-being and resilience. And I say that because then we start trusting each other in our families, and we start being able to open up and tell each other what's really going on, and we don't have to feel like, you know, that internal fight with each other in their home where people hold stuff from each other. The National Institute of Health, NIH, wrote that writing or speaking about personal trauma can help reduce stress and improve psychological well-being. And this was done, and the feedback they got were 70% of the participants. They all reported a decrease in stress after sharing their story. Harvard did a study as well that states that individuals who reflect on their past and express their personal stories have a 33% greater likelihood of building long-term resilience compared to those who do not. I said in my own healing journey, I realized that each chapter of my life, no matter how challenging it was a part of a larger narrative that shaped who I was and I am today. So reflecting on harsh realities like my cancer diagnosis, my HIV diagnosis, and other things, I could see how both of those shaped me to be resilient and strong when I look at it in a positive light. By telling my story, I acknowledge the hardship, but also celebrate the resilience that carried me through. And this process allowed me to see the pain, and it didn't break me, it really built me. Because after all I've been through, you'd have thought I've been 6 feet under, and here I am still flawless and happy, fun, like to kick it. All right, and so before we get into the next one, if we could do this quick exercise, and everybody could take a deep breath and just, I think we shared this already, but just reflect on the time you felt unseen or misunderstood. And then hold it for a moment and then think about a time where if it was like sacred, like on the other end. And what that is basically is just building emotional resonance, because I think there's always beauty in the ugly. So there's always a bad side, there's a good side to the other side. Sometimes it's just hard getting to the other side.
Yeah.
And the journey is really, really hard. Alright, so here we go again. So, even though we're gonna ask this, we're gonna pass out a card to each person, and then I would like to hear you guys' response to what, card that you received.
Ooh, okay. Give me a good card.
Right. You can pass it down. And if you're on virtual, this says turn to the person next to you and share what the feeling without permission looks like to you. So you can use the chat box to answer your question. And then we'll speak out loud about what our questions are. You can choose which one. And I'll give us a couple minutes to reflect on it. Nice, bro. Some of them are mental health questions, some of them are day starters, development questions, but it's just to get our brain to open up. And you don't have to write on the sheet until we get to the next one. Sorry, y'all. I just didn't wanna, have to pass out papers, if I were to want another one. But we just wanna, verbally speak about these cards. Y'all ready? Okay. So, what's your card say?
Are you a good friend according to the qualities you mentioned? I'm assuming you mean when we talk.
Yeah, or you can mention them.
Well, we were discussing it.
Right.
She asked about, qualities, the word that I would use as
Right.
chatty, obviously you can tell, right? And does that, what, is that good for friendship? Are you a good friend according to the qualities you mentioned?
Mhm.
I would say yes.
Right.
I mean,
You think that
I'm friends,
intersects
yeah.
into like storytelling or even like when we come into healthcare spaces?
Yeah,
I think those qualities will be important.
what can you do to be an even better friend? My problem is not the talking, it's the listening. I mean, I have to be honest. See, I told you, I'm an open book. So, honestly, I'm always want to talk, but it's hard to be a listener.
Right.
It's very hard to be a listener.
Well, that's a healthy, working thing. It's not a bad thing, it's just something healthy, cause you got a lot to say. Right.
Yeah.
What about you?
What does a good role model look like?
Oh, that's easy.
You know, someone who's a mentor, someone who makes time, and someone who listens.
Right.
I have a ton of good role models, but the main one is my mother.
Yeah. That's good. I learned a role model, by being present. Like I used to always worry about knowing everything, like I need to know everything. Or if I had to have the right words to say all the time. And I learned by being present, 'cause the people that taught me what I know was just telling me, just show up. Just show up. And I'm like, well, I want to talk. I want to say something. Like you said, like just hard to listen. And they're like, no, just show up. And me showing up allowed me to open so many other avenues in my brain into how I feel, my creative, how I want to write, how I want to articulate myself. What is your back of your card say?
What differences would there be in a role model for teens versus adults? For teens, you cannot be judgmental.
Yeah.
And what I found out the very first time my daughter started talking to me about sex, and I was not.
You weren't ready.
I was not. And so I had to just take and that's the talk. Just, I deal with my discomfort.
Hey, look, that's hard. I ain't got no kids, but that's hard.
And, yeah.
Right.
I'm
Alright.
thinking, why is she calling me?
Yeah.
And they low key be looking to see what you gotta say. So that's a skill
Oh,
set.
what your face look like.
Right.
Yes.
Alright, what is yours say?
What are you doing to prepare for an upcoming change transition?
Well, that's a good one for you.
Yes, well, that's conviction for me.
Yes, it is.
I was blessed enough, thanks to one of my biggest mentors, to win a scholarship to go back to school. A lot of people in Baltimore. And so at my age, I know I need to refocus. So I got my hands in everything. So I know I need to just stop, meditate, and slow all the way down. Because I'm so excited, I'm so blessed to be chosen. Still mind blowing. Like, why did they choose me? But okay, I'm gonna walk in. And so I want to do my very best. And so I can't do that being everywhere. So I just need to stop so I can hear God and do what I need to do.
That's a good one.
And what you still need to learn to feel ready, where you can find help. I'm a talker. I love to talk. I want to pick your brain, but I'm not a good listener. I'm not a good listener. And so like my counterpart over here, I'm learning to intentionally, I'm trying to be intentional about listening, because you may get 2 words out and I'm interrupted because I got something burning. I got to say, yours is not important anymore. So I'm trying real hard. And I have a cousin that said, I'm talking, or you don't even say it that night. So I'm learning to listen, because when you really listen and not just hear, but listen, you get so much more out of what you're
Right.
receiving.
And that's crazy because I love to listen because I'm nosy. I want to hear what you said, how you said it. I need to know the tone.
Yeah, and I can analyze all
Yeah,
that.
I love
Okay,
listening. All right. Did you come up with yours?
What experiences have you learned from? I think my best experience that I learned from, I graduated 4 times. My kids were born here. But I think my best experience, and I travel the world, so I've been to every state and every continent. What have I learned from? But it's spiritual, it's meditation.
It's beautiful.
Out of all of that, because if I want to center with my kids, and I've been, and they're grown, they're older than me, Like she said, you have to stop and be still, and I can't be still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had ADHD when I was in school, but they didn't have it then. They didn't
No.
diagnose
That's
it.
right.
So people had it, because I used to
Because
talk in class, was always on my report. She's smart, but if she wouldn't talk so much, she would do better in whatever. So I think just to be still, to meditate and find synergy with my classroom, with my teacher, with my assistant, with this conference.
yes.
Synergy is important, and just
Right.
breathing and meditating.
I think that's like a new wave in the world people are not knowing right now. Like I think there's a wave of healing going on, but that chaos is kind of like masking it with this government and stuff like that. At least for Black and brown people.
And then it says, what would you talk about with friends? That's funny though. And not normally with an adult, but meditation is funny because it's coming in vogue. Now everybody's doing a yoga class. Red people, white people in Jamaica on the beach somewhere. And they really don't. Some of that, and I'm not a guru, but I've been to like Japan and stuff, where meditation in those countries is funny. It feels different.
Intentional.
Yes, these people are doing it now for money, they get a trip to some beach and so I find it difficult to talk to friends or adults about meditation if they don't know about it. But they start putting hands over me. let me pay for you because you're on this track, let me work when you went away. And it's not a bad thing. At Howard, they have it wrong. The Dr. Richardson, the head of the whole, the chapel, he has it on Mondays at 2. I just haven't been. But even the regular, you know, church, the conventional churches are doing it because Jesus went to the mountain to pray and I'm doing it. But he meditated.
Yeah, you go input.
Yes, so it's meditation. Sorry.
No, that's a very, very good one.
Yeah.
It's a conviction for me.
I'm going to still.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
That's good.
Yeah, I think it would be wisdom.
Wow.
Go ahead, solid.
Right. I pray to ask God for wisdom, and it's just because what in each situation you're wise, how to handle it.
Right.
Things like that.
Right. That's a good one. That'd be a question.
What would you do with that superpower? I think I would help other people to approach their difficulties and traumas and things in a different light.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That would be beautiful. I just want to see the world heal.
Yeah.
Just tired of all this chaos and
That
everybody being
can be
these
two with one person.
yourself. Right.
No, after me, sorry, the next person. Don't tell.
What do you get?
I got, how could you encourage someone else to seek help?
That's a good one.
So I think I would just give my own lived experience, personal experience around me asking someone for help, not getting it. But I think you have to understand that a lot of times that you have to, I guess, connect with the right audience. So like certain people in your life, in your community, they'll pour into you into themselves. So you have to practice discernment to know, okay, this is a safe group, right, that I can talk to about my situation, get help from. And then this group isn't safe, so I probably shouldn't ask them for help. Right.
That's a good one. What about that?
Sometimes emotions are hard to control. If you or a friend needs help, who could you talk to? I would probably reach out to my best friend. So a lot of times we'll just vent to each other. We're going through something that day. We'll just call and check in. And that person when it said something about if you can talk to somebody for 12 minutes, that could significantly lower your stress level. Yeah. So I feel like I have friends that I can if I'm in a crisis or going through something, I can reach out and talk to them right away, just vent and release.
You got to get it out because I remember my sister went through a traumatic situation. I just kept saying, even me, I'm write down your emotion and write down the time. I don't care how many times it is, and then come back later to be able to identify so you can be able, because something happens when you get it out of your head. Chemically happens, and I don't think we believe it sometimes because we don't see it. But we'll feel it if we believe it.
But what's bothering you? You're scared to share with your friends. What happens then? And what's bothering you? Sometimes something is bothering you, but you'd rather share it with somebody you'll never ever see again because it stops there.
I'm back.
This is what I'm saying.
I feel like then you could probably get a therapist or even practice journaling to write down and just self-reflect.
Right.
It's okay.
What did she have, man?
What are the ways to make the students feel safer at a school during the school day? Well, I'm going to school and
Right.
I don't have no one in the school that I
Right.
work with children. I think the best way is to encourage them to talk and get the feelings that what made them scared and talk openly about.
Like you, they real expressive. They don't like nothing covered up. What about the back here?
The back says, are there things that happen during the school day that cause you to feel unsafe? What kind of stuff? So I gave one of those instances when other students, they told me bad feelings about somebody.
Yeah, bullying and stuff like that. Yeah, those are great. Okay, well, thank you guys. Those some great questions. I don't know if we can see the virtual chat box, but I wonder what they said virtual on there. All right, so we're not gonna do small groups since it's small. It's not a lot of us. You guys can work together though if you want, but we're gonna go ahead and pass out these community conversation cards. I'll show you what they look like and what's gonna happen. So we're gonna be able to share our personal stories amongst each other, create one final story implementing our participants' personal experiences, summarizing why the specific topic you chose is important. For instance, this is community conversations. I do a podcast called Forbidden Secrets. So I like to go into the community unhinged, and ask questions that people don't like to ask. Let them say it how they want to say it. This is a whole podcast. You go on there and look it up, you might just want to get ready to hear some expressive words. But in that, there's a lot of education because people are really like talking about pronouns and talking about where to get help. And I think we had a caller that called in about Atlanta, and they said the women down there I don't want to use the word settled, but they don't have. I guess the dating ratio is way low down there, so they have to date bisexual men as a way of dating because I guess there's more gay and bisexual men in
They
Atlanta.
have to date out bisexual men, cause there's a lot of
Yeah,
men on the DL.
it's
Oh,
a
wow.
lot of them. But when she called and she shared that, I'm like, she's like, this is my livelihood though, that this is what I have to experience. And I'm like, it could be funny or it can not, it be humorous or sometimes they may not feel like it's a real thing. But when I heard it and she said it, she's like, I don't feel like that's right. And I wanted to ask, like, well, why do you feel like you have to settle for less? But then the question would be, what do you feel like you're settling for?
Yeah.
So, so those questions on the, right, right. So the questions on the card that are forbidden secrets, you can use your the sheet that I gave you to write that down. If it was a group, everybody would put their thoughts together and then form one small story. It doesn't have to be a story; it can be like 5 sentences. But the goal is to chemically release the things on these cards that's being asked because these are some of the questions in the communities that need to be asked that are not being asked. If not, it's conversation starters. I went to Cancun and I did a segment out there as well, and I had these cards. And I said you had doctors, young people, old people, all of them, but they were feeling good. We were in a secluded area, and we had such a deep conversation about trans experience. We had conversation about bisexuality, straight, women, black, white, and it was really good. So I thought it would be good to bring that here. Right. So this is what the sheet looks like. I don't know if you guys can see it virtual, but you can definitely use the chat box to utilize this. You're going to identify the card that you received. And then you're going to put the question that you received on the card in the spot that says, what was your question on the card you received? And then instead of it being group thoughts, if you're not working with somebody, you can put your own thoughts. And then let's say 5 main points to relate to each person in the group. You can just use your own 5 points to the question that you received versus 5 other people's opinion. And then you can summarize those 5 points, and then you can share your thoughts with us when we get done. So I'll give us about 20 minutes to do that, and I'll play some music.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get. Oh.
Okay.
I think they'll agree that I don't want to go far. Are you supposed to write it down on your card, on your paper? I'll go with it on the paper, and I say, right, you make sure. You will have that done. Okay, so, you have, and as what is our? Yeah.
What's your?
Why?
You don't like your question, you switch it up.
No, don't make it easy for us.
Don't make it easy.
Why black folks don't talk about these things?
I've always been for that. You gotta see it. That's your life, but you can black yourself around why I think my should be.
Your parents were what?
They were very open.
Not my mother, you know, I definitely follow like. You know, they was supposed to ask, you had three boys, either recognize who playing on you, I was thinking, I never, you know, I laugh on color. But what, that's it. That's the only conversation anything. You know, these ladies were talking about that. And so I said it was not happening in my home, so I broke that. We had conversation. So the cheese act I got, like, well, the Pandora's box, because I wasn't ready for it. And being so open, but they come back and said, no, I was like, oh, it's acting. Yeah. No, you can leave out the details. What we do.
What you did outside your ways.
Oh, absolutely.
Just on the light, so.
I already proved that for you, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yours is richer. Both of those open.
Yeah, yours is kind of.
I mean, I think it's. Girls are coming to Libyan, European people.
Ooh, so how did they think about that? Cause it's.
No, it's way more, well, there's way more.
Oh, yeah, I agree, yeah.
From the Dominican Republic, I think.
Love it, yeah. You know, the first time I went. So
I feel like it's home. It's home to me, like, when I go back, I'm like. I feel like when I went to the office. I feel like it a lot. Okay.
All the villages, they did both.
Yeah, it's
University. But, we named there. And everything, but this was like, every bit, and down to the hotel, stayed in.
Try to see where you stand. I know I shot the head. You play these games, I go,
Yeah.
That was 92, 95. The Struggles was in 95, right? So, I mean.
Well, that was the first time. That when it was.
They were taking away the land.
And all the white folks.
But, you know.
And it's down, you know, of course, down there. They had.
Yeah, right.
Lots of villages, old roads, they did not go through. We went further villages.
I feel like something.
Oh.
You right. nationality, ICS. It's not the function of your shot at the damage or.
Wow. I've been arrested like a couple days before I did this. Yeah.
I went to go to Gotham. My wife was with me.
Yeah, it is.
Novian's mother and her sisters moved there.
Yeah,
but
I just don't know how
farmhouse
actually
instead of thinking
people
like
retired,
much.
they retired over there.
It's a beautiful country. The people are beautiful. I think that's what the news guy is doing to me. People all day. The other thing is, we realize.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Jay is on his way back.
Was not good.
My youngest son is on his way back from South Africa. He loves South Africa.
I really
He
like
said,
that.
Mom, I could live here.
The history and
Yeah.
all that.
I went.
That was my spot. Yes, others even not.
Yes, does, yeah. I by accident, the day, away from Zimbabwe home.
Yes.
I got stuck inside, but after they told me. No, I wish.
Yeah, we was looking on there. Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, they were doing that work. But, yeah, they do.
There's a lot of, there's no big so that's a good.
Yeah, they were deciding on those, these ones, all that stuff.
They go went to the ICS. Yeah.
No, that's really.
Right there.
No.
No, that's New York.
Cape Town? You think Cape Town?
Yeah, right.
Bikers even.
That's
If I record it, like, Rikers,
It should be.
so now they were well versed with prisons. He called me in the mall.
I went to the Nia last year, and I was,
That is awesome.
Robin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. To the conference, yeah. Or they actually.
So I'm very actually, I give a third thing to. They do that, you say they posted the, they trust foundation people, you go to the church, it's
I sent the question to my wife, and she said, please answer honestly. But she's laughing. When we talk about the question,
Right.
it'll make sense to you. What she said.
Where did you get these questions? Oh, so these
Uh,
are your questions, okay, because I'm like, came up with this, not anything you would buy off the shelf.
Right, cause when I was doing like going out to the community.
So you need to make you some data.
I'm sure you do. Copyright, yeah, yeah. Copyright there,
I mean, you already have the name here, Forbidden Secret stuff.
is it copyright?
This will be the most popular, this is the most popular game ever.
Right.
Yeah, because when we do it, when I do it with them, we did our podcast, we have so much fun. We have fun there, everybody.
Icebreaker. Put everybody in the.
Yeah, some people would like, 'cause I interviewed a lot of people too with these questions, and I put them on the show. I'm like, do a shout out. Even the sponsors that was sponsoring us, they would answer some of the questions, and then we would shout out the sponsor, we put the question on me, and then put the educational response behind it. We'll let them answer it. They answered. Right. One question we asked, something about. Yeah, I think it was something about sexuality or being. We said something about a hoe or something like that. I forget, and it was like
I knew that blew up.
majority women, and so it was like, oh, we said, would you date a man with no money or something like that? And my cousin Kim was like, I don't date anyone without, like, just that was her concept. And another person was like, well, I wouldn't care if a man didn't have money if he knew how to work to get it. And well, I guess she wanted a man already with money. But it was just weird how the conversation.
There's too many of them out there. It's unrealistic, and if you happen to find him, you're gonna work for that one. You don't want a man with money, you want a master, cause he's gonna own you.
Right.
Oh, no.
You're gonna work.
It's getting spicy in there, man.
He started it.
It's his own fault.
Podcast.
The podcast.
We'll have to check out your podcast.
I keep it all. Okay, so we got some. She said we want to talk about what? So who is me?
I'm Angela Matthews.
So Angela, what do you want to do about it?
Medication at work. I mean, I do know sometimes. I talk shit to people. And then also, I'm a full-time hottie.
Oh,
I'm
hottie.
past medication at work.
Wait, yeah, so you a baddie? Like the baddie?
I'm a hottie. I prefer milk actually, but.
Ooh, milk. How are you? But you gotta be at least 40 to be
At least
milk.
to be.
Honey, you gotta be 40 to be a milk.
Says that says like if you're young, you just a bitch with a baby, but I prefer milk.
Ooh, so tell me this. So do you feel like you're a hot bitch, Bill? So do you have a lot of guys that hit on you, like that are interested in you? They like your long lashes?
Yeah.
Yeah, long lashes. So look, I got somebody here. Her name is Kim. I want her to introduce herself, but here we go. We on Forbidden Secrets. All into it. You hear me? So what's your name?
A little entertainment for the people out there.
Ooh. Where you from? Just here inside?
I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri, but I was raised up in Tulsa.
Come on, Tulsa. You brought you really okay. Okay, look. So Kim, I wanted to bring you on because I wanted to ask you a few questions. We had conversations about mental health, sexual identity, BL, bisexuality, things of that nature. So, who do you identify as? A woman or? I think we were friends. I'm trying to get into the conversation. Yeah, come on. Do you know what pronouns are?
I'm just a straight.
No, pronouns like in the healthcare field nowadays are like she, they, he, them, his, no, she, him, his, these, them, they, yeah, and then there's system which is same women. It's a no, it's just a look, yes sir, but you see how everybody trying to figure it out, or because nobody really did know. I wasn't even stumbling.
I'm still trying to figure it all out.
And I feel like that's another thing because they start penalizing people for that.
Well, now,
Right there.
Yeah, you don't use pronouns, they'll fire you, they
They'll
start
fire
putting
you.
in those things. Yeah, you have to be
Yeah, if
able to.
somebody said a pronouns are she, her, it does not matter what they look like to you.
Okay.
It's what they want to
We're
call
going to be
it.
Okay.
identify that,
Okay.
which is fun.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
right.
their, that's their
But,
prerogative.
but how do you get?
I think it just showed up on the scene here. I go interrupted, and nobody knew, understood it.
No, that's,
It
that
just
was,
kind of showed up with no explanation.
well, that was
At
the
least for
fight
me.
with the straight women and the systems, the healthcare systems, because we had people in our own center that was getting, reprimanded because like people would come in and get care. And it's not a shade, it's what they were called, but they wasn't educated on. They would have full beards and full meal clothes on, but they want to be identified as her and she. And they'll say, "Excuse me, sir." And now they got the CEO and everybody, and they want to try to get this person fired. And they're like, well, what if a heterosexual person is not involved in the LGBT community? Why would they know what pronouns are unless you work actually in the healthcare?
Exactly.
Right.
So now you get people fired and they're getting all
Yeah.
ramped up. But that's just, it goes to show, how do you get people to really say how they feel? So you gotta get them in a state where they can be comfortable, of course, with laughing and talking mess, but at the end of the day, as you can see, we had to make that an educational moment.
Yeah.
Because when we aired it, after it, I ended up putting what pronouns meant, you know, the names, yeah. But we can go through our,
So actually, okay, so you got, we can write a story.
You don't have to.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it could just been a paragraph. Yeah.
But you can.
We need that.
That's fine.
We just had a conversation.
That's fine, that's fine. Right.
So, you want me to start?
Yeah, you start.
My question was, would you date outside your race? We actually did this as a little group. But it's funny because I'm married outside my race. So that's why I said it to my wife. And she said, you better answer honestly. So, yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, you ever got pushback for it?
Yeah, I'm not currently.
Right.
But
I don't think people.
early on, we probably did, right?
Yeah, you know, the 80s maybe.
Right.
Right, say, somebody outside the race.
Right, yeah.
I hope more better blues, but I don't know.
Right.
I don't think anybody cares anymore.
Right.
It's not that important.
They date the horses and goats, yeah.
Yeah.
Family.
No, my family doesn't care. My family.
And I think that's true. The people on the island. That
Yeah.
they're not, they're.
My family, yeah, I'm from the Dominican Republic.
Really?
Yeah. And my family, if you saw my family,
What'd you say?
there's a lot.